When most engineers build a modern software system, they default to a familiar pattern: direct API calls. A user places an order on an e-commerce site, and the system springs into action, processing the request one step at a time. Looking at this topology map, we see how a standard central order service operates. To complete a purchase, it makes direct, synchronous HTTP calls to its downstream dependencies. It calls the payment service to process the card, the inventory service to reserve the item, and the email service to send a receipt. This request-response chain works well under ideal conditions, but watch what happens when a non-critical downstream component, like a third-party email provider, stalls out and fails to respond. Because the communication is synchronous, the order service must wait for the email confirmation before closing the transaction. The email timeout forces the central order service to hang. As the delay continues, it drags down the entire chain, eventually forcing the payment service to roll back a perfectly valid transaction. The root cause here is not a slow email server. The vulnerability is the architecture itself. Direct API calls create tight temporal and spatial coupling. The central service must know exactly where its dependencies live, wait for them to finish, and handle their failures in real time. As a business adds dozens or hundreds of services, this web of tightly coupled point-to-point dependencies creates a fragile system. A single timeout in an analytics or notification tool can bring down critical revenue-generating infrastructure. Event-driven architecture reorganizes this model. It replaces direct point-to-point requests with a centralized broadcasting system. Instead of services asking each other to perform tasks, they simply broadcast facts. When a user checks out, the order service doesn't instruct the email service to send a receipt. It merely announces the fact that an order was placed. This mechanism severs the direct dependencies between microservices. The producer of the data no longer waits for a response from downstream systems. It fires the message and immediately frees up its own resources to handle the next incoming request. To route these broadcasts, the architecture introduces new central infrastructure, the message broker. The broker acts as an intermediary, receiving facts from producers and delivering them to any consumer configured to listen. By routing messages through a central broker, event-driven architecture isolates faults. If a downstream consumer crashes, the broker simply holds the message until the service recovers. Adopting a message broker does not guarantee decoupling. If the data payloads passing through that broker are designed poorly, the system remains rigidly connected. Consider this JSON command payload. It is an explicit instruction dictating an action to a downstream service. Watch what happens when we rewrite the payload in the past tense. It becomes an event, an immutable fact detailing something that has already occurred, not an instruction. This past tense naming convention carries heavy architectural weight. By stating a fact, the producer completely detaches from the outcome. It produces the event and moves on, completely unaware of who will consume it. The locus of control shifts entirely to the consumers. Each downstream service receives the fact and independently executes its own unique business logic based on that information. Many engineering teams deploy a message broker, send asynchronous command payloads through it, and claim they have built an event-driven system. They haven't. Replacing an HTTP API with a queue achieves nothing if the upstream service is still dictating downstream behavior. True decoupling requires shifting the payloads from commands to facts. Once the payloads are structured correctly, the physical routing of those events falls to the message broker. Different business requirements demand different routing topologies. The first and most common topology in this matrix is the queue. In a standard queue, one message is processed by exactly one consumer. Queues efficiently distribute background tasks, like generating a PDF, allowing workers to pull tasks at their own speed. The second pattern is pub-sub. Here, a single event enters the broker and is fanned out to multiple independent consumers simultaneously. A single payment completed fact can reach analytics, CRM, and inventory systems all at once. The third pattern is the stream. Unlike queues, which delete messages after processing, a stream acts as a durable, ordered log stored for a configured retention period. Because the events persist, a new consumer can be added to the network months later and simply replay the historical log to build up its own internal state from scratch. Apache Kafka is the industry standard for this streaming pattern. It provides massive throughput, and ordered, replayable event histories for systems handling millions of data points per minute. There is no single best tool for event routing. The choice between a queue, a pub subtopic, or a stream must strictly follow your requirement for message ordering, data retention, and consumer volume. Decoupling your services eliminates fragile API chains, but it introduces a new class of engineering problems. You trade point-to-point network failures for complex distributed state mechanics. This illustrates eventual consistency. As data enters an event-driven system, independent consumers process it at different speeds, leveling out and syncing after a brief delay. User interfaces must be explicitly designed to handle this temporal latency. If a user uploads a video and the processing is queued, the UI needs to show a processing status rather than crashing when the video isn't instantly available. State isn't the only challenge. Distributed failure is inevitable. When a consumer node tries to write an event to its database, it might encounter a temporary database lock or a network blip. The message processing fails. To handle this, systems use exponential backoff. The consumer tells the broker it failed, and the broker retries the message. First after 1 second, then 5 seconds later, then 30 seconds later, giving the database recovery time. But if a payload is corrupted, retries will cycle endlessly, blocking the queue. To prevent this, the broker diverts the perpetually failing message into an isolated holding bin called a dead letter queue. Dead letter queues prevent poison messages from clogging the pipeline. But because systems guarantee at least once delivery, duplicate events will happen. To survive, consumers must be idempotent. An idempotent consumer checks its ledger, sees the action occurred, and safely discards the duplicate. Engineers implement this by assigning unique business or event IDs to every payload. If a payment service isn't tracking these IDs, a single network retry could charge a customer's credit card a second time. Asynchronous failure routing, exponential backoff, and identipant processing are not optional edge cases. They are the baseline engineering requirements for deploying applications in a distributed environment. Let's trace exactly how these mechanics operate at scale by looking at a massive, real-world asynchronous workflow. This diagram outlines the architecture of an enterprise e-learning platform. Every microservice on the perimeter operates independently, reading and writing facts to the central broker. The workflow begins when a new student creates an account. The user service commits the registration to its database, then fires a single pulse to the broker, the user-registered event. The broker executes a pub-sub fanout. It routes that fact to the notification service to send an email, the onboarding service to build a curriculum, and the analytics service to log the metric, all simultaneously, without the user service waiting. Weeks later, when the student finishes an exam, the enrollment service publishes a course completed event. This cascades outward to an entirely different set of consumers, triggering the certificate service to generate a PDF and the corporate reporting service to update an employer's dashboard. A single upstream user action safely orchestrates a massive cascade of independent microservice operations. No central controller dictates the flow. The system scales horizontally simply by adding new consumers that react to the established facts. This level of decoupled flexibility is powerful, but it carries a severe administrative danger. Without extreme engineering discipline, an event-driven system quickly devolves into an untraceable mess. This blueprint represents an event schema. In a mature architecture, an event payload structure is treated as an ironclad contract between engineering teams. If a producer decides to change a data type from an integer to a string without versioning the schema, they will silently break every downstream consumer relying on that exact format. Event contracts must be strictly governed and validated. Furthermore, tracing a failure requires comprehensive observability. When a workflow hops across 10 different independent services, teams must inject correlation IDs into the payloads so they can track the entire lifecycle of a request through centralized logs. Event-driven architecture is not a universal necessity. If a simple, direct API call serves the business logic without causing bottlenecks, it remains the correct choice. Events are a targeted weapon used specifically to eliminate tight coupling. Rigorous schema governance and idempotent processing enable a system to scale and evolve without the constant risk of a cascading failure.